this angel. Isn't that interesting how the Bible records so many details for us to understand our reality around us? Isaiah chapter 14, and we read in verse 12. Isaiah 14 and verse 12 gives us the name of this angel. And it says, O Lucifer, son of the morning. What is the name of the angel? Lucifer. The name Lucifer describes one of the roles of this angel. The name Lucifer means one who brings light, or the light bearer. So what was the work that this angel developed? What was the command given to him? He was to carry the knowledge of God throughout the created universe. You see, friends, he was the one closest to the Godhead. There was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And next to them was Lucifer in a high exalted position. And so every now and then, I imagine, because he was the light carrier, the light bearer, he would go on flights of missions right through the universe. And he would come to created worlds. And when he would come, the whole of the world would be in a stare, saying, Lucifer is here, Lucifer is here. Why were they so happy? Very simple. This angel was going to tell them about God and what he knew of God. After all, there was no one closest to God than Lucifer. Well, I don't know for how long this happy state lasted in heaven. Millions of years? Trillions of years? I don't know. But I know that the Bible tells us the following sad story. You come to the book of Ezekiel again. And the Bible begins to shows us that something began to happen in the heart of this angel. And this story is found in Ezekiel chapter 28. Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 15. Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 15. It's a short verse, but if you take the depths of meaning of this verse, you cannot but begin to feel sorry. It says here, you were perfect in your ways from the day you were created till iniquity was found in you. What does the Bible say that was found in the heart of this perfect being? Iniquity. Now, how many of us know what the word iniquity means? Can I see your hands? Oh, well, there's a few here who are well-versed and they know what iniquity means. For those of us who do not know, I searched for the meaning and it just simply means something really bad. Evil. And so the Bible is telling us here, friends, that this angel who lived perfectly, who was a happy being for centuries and centuries and unnumbered centuries, suddenly something began to happen in his heart and evil was born in his heart. And notice that it says that it was found in him. Who is the only one who knows the hearts of everyone? God. Did God know what was going on in the heart of this being? Oh, yes, he knew. And then the Bible describes, probably only God can give you knowledge like what is written in the scriptures. The following verses that I'm going to read you, friends, are amazing because the Bible is describing what went in the psychology of this angel. What happened to him in his psychological being? What began to happen that led him to become a wicked being? We find in the book of Ezekiel chapter 28 and verses 17 and 18. It says, your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I laid you before kings, that they may gaze at you. You defiled your sanctuaries by the multitude of your iniquities, by the iniquity of your trading. Therefore, I brought fire. Therefore I brought fire from your midst. It devoured you, and I turned you to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all who saw you. What happened in the heart of this being? Friends, it is something that most probably you and I will never be able to explain, how a perfect being in a perfect environment suddenly began to think of himself and began to look at himself and say, he walked in front of a mirror and says, "Ooh, Lucifer, you're nice." He began to look at his position when he was on the throne of God and look around and he says, "Man, I am the highest. If it was not for me, the universe would not know about God. Look how important I am. All the angels obey me. When I sing, everyone sings. I'm so important." Lucifer became proud of himself. And that's what was started, the whole aspect of evil. Friends, this being living in the presence of God became the first proud, self-centered being that has ever existed in the universe. Do you think that God knew about him? Do you think that God could read his heart? Yes, that's why it's recorded in the scriptures, friends. And let me tell you, Lucifer, Satan, doesn't want you to hear this message because he thrives in ignorance of himself. If people do not know that he exists, he thrives in that. He can do whatever he wants when people are ignorant of him. Notice what Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 and 14 say. It says here, "For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the furthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds." And notice the next statement. "I will be like the Most High." In this trend of self-centeredness and pride, Lucifer begins to dream with three things. According to this text, Lucifer began to dream to have his own government, and for his government to take the place of the throne of God. A throne is the symbol of a government, true? And he says in that text, "I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God." In other words, I am going to rule the angels of God. I am going to be God himself. And you and I must think, man, he was silly. How could a created being try to become God? But pride is blind. And Lucifer truly thought that he could become God himself. "I will be like the Most High." In that text also we read that he says, "I will also sit on the mount of the congregation." The mount of the congregation is the very center of the universe where God sits, the Godhead, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They sit to make the decisions that rule the universe and guide the universe. And Satan says,